Stop targeting by job title. Do this instead. Right now, you and every one of your competitors are looking at the same list. Head of sales, SaaS company, 50 to 20 employees. You built that list in Apollo. They built that list in Apollo. The agency they hired built that list in Apollo. And all of you are sending emails to the same person this week. That's not targeting, that's a queue. And you're standing in it with everyone else. So here's what the companies with the best outbound conversion rates figured out. The job title isn't a signal. The job title is just a starting point. What actually determines whether someone responds, whether they're even in a buying moment at all, is what's happening at their company right now. And that information is available. Most teams just don't know how to read it. Let's take an example. Retail Sonar. Retail Intelligence SaaS, 3 SDRs, enterprise deals with companies like Aldi, Lidl, Carrefour. They came to us with the same problem most teams have. They were treating their accounts identical. Same sequences, same cadence, same level of effort across the board. Once we built a signal framework and a 3-tier account model around it, prioritizing outreach based on who was showing real buying intent right now, their first half of the year meeting target was hit and exceeded. The correlation was direct and brutal. The SDRs who called on signal-triggered accounts hit their targets. Every single one of them exceeded quota. And the ones who didn't call enough, the ones still running generic sequences to cold lists, fell short. Same team, same product, same market, different targeting logic, different results. So the signal layer is the variable most people aren't measuring. It's also the variable that explains almost everything. So the default mental model for outbound targeting goes like this. You define your ICP, you pick the firmographic criteria, industry, company size, geography, job title, and you build a list that matches. You write a sequence and you send it. The problem isn't the logic. The problem is that the logic is identical to everyone else's. So when everyone is targeting by the same firmographic filters, the list stops being a competitive advantage and becomes a commodity. The inbox of every head of sales at a 50 to 100 person SaaS company is full of emails from people who built the same list. So what breaks through isn't better copy. What breaks through is relevance. And relevance comes from timing, from reaching someone when they're already thinking about the problem you solve. So the question isn't, does this person match my ICP? The question is this person in a buying moment right now? And these are completely different questions. And most outbound only asks the first one. Signal-based targeting asks the second one. And it changes everything downstream. The message, the channel, the timing, the conversion rate. So here's how it actually works in practice. The 4 signal categories. Signal 1, role changes. This is the most consistently powerful signal in B2B outbound. When someone takes a new position, especially a leadership role, they are in active evaluation mode. They're questioning what was inherited. They're building their own view of what tools, processes, and vendors should be in place. They're open to conversations they won't be open to in 6 months when they've settled in. With Demodesk, new enroll triggers were one of the 2 campaign plays that consistently produced qualified conversations. Not because the email was better, but because the timing was right. With Talent Guide, the same pattern. Reaching sales leaders in their first 90 days in a role produced a fundamentally different response rate than reaching the same persona cold. The window is real and it's short. A new leader is most open in the first 30 to 90 days. After that, the window closes. Signal 2, growth signals. Companies that are hiring aggressively, raising funding, opening new offices, or entering new markets are in motion. Motion creates problems. Problems create buying moments. A company hiring 5 salespeople right now needs the infrastructure to support those salespeople. A company that just raised a Series B has a budget and urgency. A company expanding into Germany has a localization problem they didn't have 6 months ago. These aren't hypotheses. They're facts you can observe. And if you're monitoring for them, with Robaus, one of the most effective campaigns targeted companies actively hiring for specific operational roles. The hiring pattern was a direct signal of the pain point Robaus solved. The hiring for campaign outperformed every other sequence in the motion. Not because of the writing, but because of the signal. Signal 3, behavioral triggers. These are actions a prospect takes that indicate active interest. Visiting your website, engaging with your content, attending an event you're both present at, downloading a resource. Most teams don't connect these signals to outbound. They sit in the marketing data and never reach the sales motion. Or they trigger a generic automated follow-up that feels exactly like what it is. So the play here is using behavioral signals to shift channel and urgency. Someone who visited your pricing page twice this week is not the same prospect as someone who hasn't heard of you. They should not be getting the same email. One of our clients built event-based outreach workflows in HubSpot, pre-event identification of target accounts attending the same industry events, and then post-event follow-up with context. The result? Significantly higher reply rates than standard call sequences, because the message had a reason to exist. Signal 4, external triggers. Leadership changes at competitor companies, compliance deadlines, sector news that creates urgency, major customer win or loss that changes a company's priorities. These are harder to monitor systematically, but they're often the highest intent signals available. A company that just lost its biggest customer is in pain. A company facing a compliance deadline in 90 days has a budget conversation already happening internally. So external triggers require the signal layer to be watching, not just the accounts themselves, but the environment those accounts operate in. So the 3-tier model. Here's where signal intelligence connects to execution. Not all accounts deserve the same outreach. The signal strength, the account size, and the deal potential should determine what level of effort you invest and which channels you use. So your tier 1 are your high-value accounts with strong signals. These get the full treatment, the full Monty. Manual research, personalized messaging, multi-channel coordination, warm LinkedIn connections, personalized emails, strategic phone calls, recorded Loom videos, you name it. For one of our customers, this tier included name enterprise accounts like Aldi or Lidl equivalent targets. And so when a signal fires on one of these accounts, a C-suite hire, an expansion announcement, the first action is a call. Not an email, but a call. And the rule that was proved was the SDRs who called on signal triggers accounts hit quota. And the ones who defaulted to email sequences fell short. In an inbox flooded with AI-generated messages, a well-timed call on a real signal is still one of the most effective touches you can make. Tier 2. Mid-priority accounts with moderate signals. These get semi-automated sequences with manual call follow-up at key moments. The system handles the sequencing, the rep steps in when a signal fires or a positive response comes through. And then tier 3, lower priority accounts with earlier stage signals, fully automated, monitored continuously, and then if a stronger signal fires, they move up a tier. If they stay quiet, they stay in the queue at low cost and low effort. This model means your best reps spend their time on the accounts most likely to convert, not on an alphabetical list that treats every account as equally worth their time. Now, building the signal layer. Here's the practical question. How do you actually monitor for this? The answer is a combination of tools and processes. But the process is simple. You need a live version of your TAM, your total addressable market, that continuously updates as companies change. In practice, this means using a tool like Clay to monitor your target accounts for the signals that matter to your specific ICP. Job changes detected via LinkedIn, funding rounds pulled from Crunchbase, hiring patterns from job boards, news triggers from Google search with date filters that only surface content from the last 7 days. Each of these run on a schedule, weekly, daily, or in near real time, depending on the signal type. When something fires, the account surfaces in your priority queue. Your rep doesn't go looking for who to call, the system tells them. That's the intelligence layer. And it's the thing that separates a team doing signal-based outbound from a team doing volume-based outbound. Both might have the same number of reps, both might be sending a similar number of sequences, but one of them is reaching people at the right moment, and the other one is just sending emails and hoping for the best. So here's what happens if you keep targeting by job title and company size alone. You reach the same people as your competitors at the same time with similar messaging. And the ones who respond are the ones who are already looking and they're talking to multiple vendors simultaneously. Your conversion rate reflects that. Meanwhile, the accounts where something just happened, a new leader joined, funding came in, a compliance trigger fired, are reachable right now in a way they won't be in 3 months, because that window closes. So every week you're not monitoring for it, you're missing conversations that your signal-aware competitors are having. And the compounding effect is real. The teams that build signal intelligence now have a continuously improving targeting model. They know which signals correlate with closed deals. They refine the system over time. The gap between them and teams still working off of static lists grows wider every quarter. So firmographic targeting gets you into the same queue as everyone else. But signal-based targeting gets you into a conversation nobody else is having because you showed up at the right moment with the right context before anyone else knew the window was open. So 4 signal categories: role changes, growth signals, behavioral triggers, and external triggers. 3 tiers of account prioritization based on signal strength. 1 system that monitors your TAM continuously and surfaces the right accounts at the right time. That's not a tactic. That's called infrastructure. And once it's built, it compounds. So if you want to build this for your market, the signal framework, the tier model, the clay infrastructure underneath it, the link in the description is how you work with us directly. And if you want to see the full outbound system this signal layer sits inside, every component, how they connect, what it produces, that video is already on this channel. So watch it next. Top targeting by job title, start targeting by timing. That's where the pipeline is. Good luck and happy hunting.